That might have been the most agonizing experience of my entire life. That was probably the longest 1 o'clock game that I've ever experienced. Not only the first quarter was long as hell, the rest of the game just took forever to end because it was just blow after blow after blow after blow, and it just got more frustrating all over the place. It was just so annoying to find a way to lose that game. Devonta Smith had the game in the palm of his hands. All you have to do is make the catch. Then you go to the 2-minute warning, you drain out the clock, and you win the game. No, what happens? 3rd and 5 play. Great pass by Kenny Pickett to Devonta Smith. Bobbles the ball, drops it. Incomplete pass. Eagles are forced to kick a field goal. And then Washington goes down the field, and we're going to discuss the special teams as well, because the special teams today were absolute garbage, constantly giving Washington good field position. Felt like they were always starting at least at the 30-yard line all night. All night. 30-yard line, 35-plus, 40-plus yard line. Special teams, we're going back to Michael Clay being an absolute joke of a special teams coordinator. My God. And then you find a way to lose the game, 36-33 to the Commanders. You don't clinch the division today. The number 1 seed at this point is a complete long shot at this rate. So at this point, you just focus on resting up these next 2 weeks before getting into the playoffs, because you're not getting a bye week at this rate. It's just not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Jalen Hurts leaves with a concussion. I got to watch Kenny Pickett play football. It was just an insane game that you should have won. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back into TTP Sports. And before we get into the rest of this insane game that we just witnessed, if you are new to the channel, I definitely recommend you hitting that subscribe button. Does me a great deal of service. We just recently surpassed 1,000 subscribers, so it's on to continuing the journey of moving the subscriber count up. And if you hit that subscribe button, it would do me a great deal of service in joining the TTP Sports family. You can also drop a like. You can also leave a comment in the comment section down below. I always love interacting with you guys down there in the comment section. You can also leave a follow over on Instagram and TikTok at TTP Sports for shorts and reels and all that fine stuff. Definitely going to be a lot of anger and frustration from today, even though in big picture mode, big picture wise, no, this is nothing that's going to kill the Eagles for the rest of the season. I don't see that happening whatsoever. It was just an insane game where I don't even know how to describe it at this point, because so many things happened left and right. You get off to this amazing start because defense, they force 3-and-outs, they force fumbles, they force turnovers and all that stuff. You get good field position, you go down, score a couple of times, you give yourself a good lead, you're scoring in the first quarter. You're scoring in the first quarter with touchdowns, might I add. Touchdowns. We've barely seen that all year. This is the first game since basically last season since you scored a touchdown in the first quarter, and you got 2 touchdowns in the first quarter, might I add. 3, actually, I would say. 3 touchdowns in the first quarter. We don't see that. We haven't seen that all year. But then after that first quarter, after Jalen goes down with the concussion, even though he said he was good to go back, they were just making sure they're being precautious, go back to the locker room, concussion spotter and all that stuff. It's probably the right decision to just not force anything there with Jalen. It is the right decision, probably, at the end of the day, because he probably did have a concussion. It was confirmed and all that stuff. But definitely, I think this can also throw to the mix on Jalen Hurts criticism, and I'll throw away my Jalen Hurts criticism because the offense kind of died without him. Being honest. I'm being honest. The offense completely died without Jalen Hurts. Now, granted, Kenny Pickett came into the game after Jalen went out. Nice pass into the end zone to A.J. Brown. Got that touchdown there. And then the next drive, you got a Saquon Barkley 68-plus touchdown run to give you that extra touchdown. Give you 21 points on the board. So, yeah. Even without Jalen Hurts, you did find ways to score on those next few drives. But I'm talking about the rest of the game, because just so many stalled offensive drives. Kenny Pickett having trouble throwing the ball. He threw a brutal interception, which gave Washington momentum back into the game, where This game personally should not have been as close as it was, but when you don't have your quarterback one, it was going to be tough. It was going to be difficult. You needed other people to step up, especially on the offensive side. It just didn't happen. Now, people want to point out that was there a helmet-to-helmet hit on Jalen Hurts on the concussion? There probably was, but that just shows to you how brutal the officiating was in this game. It was brutal. And I'm talking horrible. So many calls that went against the Eagles in the first half. C.J. Gardner-Johnson gets called for unsportsmanlike conduct. I have no idea what happened, but I have no idea how Washington isn't also getting a penalty on that play for shoving the guy and his helmet's flying off. I have no idea what's going on there. The unnecessary roughness or unsportsmanlike conduct that was called on Jalen Carter was an absolute joke. It was terrible. The roughing the passer on Milton Williams was a complete disaster. And there definitely were some misses on the Washington side in that first half. You can even say that which caused Jordan Davis to leave the game. That could have been, it looked like it was kind of an illegal hit. But then you can also say for the Washington perspective, there were some soft calls the other way in the second half. This game was just completely brutally officiated. My God, it was insane, but I think the calls were more in favor of Washington. Is that me putting my Eagles bias in there? Probably, but I think there was just a little too much more egregious stuff that was called on the Eagles than Washington. Yeah, you can put some stuff there for the defensive pass interferences that were called on Lattimore against A.J. Brown, but A.J. Brown, top wide receiver in the league, he's going to get those calls majority of the time. But, the false start on the final drive for the touchdown that wasn't called on Washington, there were so many things that just went wrong in this game. And I'm putting more of this on the offense. I'm sorry, I'm putting this more on the offense. When the defense turns the ball over as much as they did today, forcing 3 fumbles, some of those early in the game, and forcing 2 interceptions, especially the one by Blankenship at the end of the game, which should have sealed it off if fucking Devonta Smith catches the damn ball. You catch the damn ball, the game is over. Catch the damn ball, steal it, lock it in, and get your first down, and then you drain the goddamn clock off. It's unreal how you drop, that's a catch that Devonta Smith makes 99 out of 100 times. It was the Atlanta game all over again. It was. There were some bad underthrows by Kenny Pickett today on that long throw to A.J. Brown where he made an unreal catch on. One of those long throws to Saquon Barkley that he dropped. It was completely underthrown. The ball's not underthrown. Saquon probably catches that. But also at the same time, the ball lands in Saquon's hands. You got to find a way to come up with the ball. There's some bad underthrows by Kenny Pickett. I'm not going to deny that. Excuse me. I was running out of voice right there for some reason. But there were some bad underthrows by Kenny Pickett. I'm not going to deny that. I'm not saying Kenny Pickett played spectacularly. The interception that he threw was brutal. It was point blank brutal. It can't happen. But when I'm looking at this entire game on the offensive side perspective, I needed more people to step up, because when Jalen Hurts goes down, you need other people to come in and help out Kenny Pickett. It's a backup quarterback. You need your other guys to step up. You need your offensive line to step up, get blocks, prevent Washington's rushing attack and pass attack to get to Kenny Pickett. You need A.J. Brown to step up, and A.J. Brown did have some huge catches in this game. I'm not going to deny that. But there were also some huge drops late that, could have made a difference in the game. Devonta Smith, yes, had some huge catches in this game, but all that's going to be overshadowed by his terrible drop that would have sealed the game off. He catches the ball, you go to the 2-minute warning, Washington only has 1 timeout left, all you need is a first down at that point. And if nothing happened, you would have, even though you kicked the field goal regardless, and then Washington went down the field, but you get the first down, more time is drained off the clock. And if, you need to kick the field goal, there's less time for Washington to go downfield. They'll most likely have to throw a Hail Mary. See what I'm saying there? And then Saquon Barkley, after that first quarter, just could not generate anything. Nothing. He was getting stuffed left and right. And that's more on the fact that Washington, without Jalen Hurts, they can just focus their entire defensive game plan on stopping Saquon Barkley, stuffing it. Do you see how many guys they sent after the offensive line to stop Saquon? He wasn't able to generate anything in that second half. I believe he only let, like, before the fourth quarter, I think he only had like 11 yards total in the second half. Saquon was not able to do anything. And then there were some poor blocks by Alcantara, which could have led to more Saquon yardage. There were those poor blocking on the offensive line the entire day, leaving some guys wide open just to get right to Kenny Pickett. Now it's also in Pickett's responsibility to get the ball out quick enough. But, with Kenny Pickett under center, you understand that you're limited in certain areas. He can't throw the ball deep. Some balls are very inaccurate. You got to find a way to help out your backup quarterback. And I don't think the offensive minds did enough today to help out Kenny Pickett. Especially when the defense forces turnovers as much as they did. Because that final drive after Blankenship's interception, the game should have been over. The game should have been over. It was negative yardage on the Saquon run on the first drive, on the first down play. Then A.J. Brown got you into good field position, but then you got the 3rd and 5 there. And then Devonta has to catch the ball. That's simple as it is. Devonta has to catch the ball. You got to make the catch. And I'm not going to understate that. You got to make the fucking catch because that is the difference in the fucking game. I know we keep repeating it, but that literally is the difference in the fucking game right there. Catch the ball, the game's over. Catch the ball, the game's over. We could talk about the defense giving up 36 points to Washington today, but with C.J. Gardner-Johnson getting ejected from this game, and he has to do a way better job of being aware of the situation. Because yes, I understand he plays with energy, he likes to talk his talk and everything like that, but when you already got called for unsportsmanlike conduct earlier in the game, you gotta watch your mouth. You gotta watch what you're doing, because now the refs are looking out for you to see if you're going to do something else. C.J. Gardner-Johnson needed, and I mean needed, to be more aware, because that just cannot happen. Because without C.J. Gardner-Johnson, and he also had a huge interception in the game as well, it just left a whole wide open gaping hole in your secondary, because then they target McCollum more. McCollum had some terrible tackles trying to go after Jaden Daniels, especially on that 4th and long play that they converted. Just completely missed on Daniels, took out one of his own teammates in the process. Just bad stuff. Terrible stuff. You cannot be allowing that 4th down conversion that many times to Jaden Daniels. It just can't happen. And when you're having so many just not sustained drives whatsoever on offense, and this is also going back to why I'm not blaming the defense as much. The defense does deserve its share of blames, no doubt, because there were too many big plays that were happening. Quinyon Mitchell getting beat by Terry McLaurin, something that he didn't do in the matchup against Washington on Thursday Night Football. Zach Bond on that final play got turned around a little bit, left, the receiver to be wide open there in the end zone for that, specific case. There were some certain big plays. Slay got beat deep in this game as well. So there were certain big plays that Washington had in this game to where you can definitely 100% blame on the defense. Their running game was non-existent, Washington's. The Eagles were stuffing the run majority of the game. And that's where you're forcing some of your fumbles from Brian Robinson and all of that stuff. The defense was feasting for majority of this. It's just for the fact that when your defense constantly has to go out there so many different drives without any time to rest, and that's the responsibility of the offense, because the offense did not have any sustained drives with Kenny Pickett in the game. They couldn't get anything going. The only way they could have got downfield was because of pass interference penalties and some plays that, they got breaks on. The face mask that went on Saquon and all that stuff. The defensive pass interferences that, A.J. Brown drew. That was really the only reasons they were able to go downfield. But yes, then you also have Jake Elliott missing a 50-plus yard field goal. That definitely hurts you in that fact because, Washington, you would have been up, what was it? You would have basically been tied at this point, and Washington would have had to kick the extra point or would have had to go for 2 in order to tie the game. So yeah, that 50-plus yard miss by Jake Elliott was huge in the result. But then he also kicks a couple of other field goals. He does hit a 50-plus yarder at the end of the game as well. It's just to the fact that offensively, you couldn't sustain anything, and that was the issue. Saquon couldn't get going. Your offensive line couldn't block anybody, and that was preventing Saquon from going anywhere. And Kenny Pickett was scrambling all over the place, and your receivers just had too many drops that, they need to make catches on. A.J. Brown had a couple of drops. The Devonta Smith drop is basically the turning point of the entire game. It just can't happen. And basically, if you're not going to be targeting tight ends all day, because Calcaterra was horrid, horrid, horrid with blocking. He was terrible. If you're not going to target your tight ends whatsoever, you're using so many tight end packages, and you're not going to target them. Bring out extra linemen, get some blocks in there. Bring out Tyler Steen to just get some extra meat on the bones there to get some blockage. Because Washington, all they were doing the rest of the game when Kenny Pickett came in was just sending 5 men, sending all these big guys, sending the rush, trying to find any way possible to stop Saquon Barkley, and it was working. And it was working. There was one run where it was, also accustomed to Calcaterra and his terrible blocking, but then you get, I believe it was not Jordan Mailata, it was Lane Johnson and I think Landon Dickerson that moved to the right. It was, no, it wasn't Lane. It was Lane Johnson and I forget who it was. It could have been Mekhi Becton or someone else. I don't think it was. I'm just, besides the fact, those guys go to the right. There's no one covering anybody at this rate, and Saquon just gets easily stuffed, and also not helping from Calcaterra just can't getting blocks whatsoever. It's just so much shit went against the Eagles today that went wrong at this point, to where the number 1 seed is just physically impossible at this point. Just at this rate, you got to rest up. You got to heal up. So I don't know what the status of Jalen Hurts is going to be. I can just refresh Twitter at this point just to see where some things are, if he even is considered to be playing next week, even though we won't be finding that out until midweek at this point. So, and I'm not even sure if they're going to be even forcing him to start against Dallas, especially with, you should be able to beat Dallas with Kenny Pickett at quarterback, in my personal opinion. But Kenny Pickett also got, banged up a couple of times in this game, to where, there was plays where it looked like he fumbled, but he managed to get forward motion on the ball to where it was an incomplete pass. It was just crazy stuff to where he got hurt or banged up a couple of times. So I don't know where we're going to stand at, because a lot of guys, Jalen Hurts is huge, obviously. It's your number 1 fucking quarterback. Jordan Davis left for a little bit, then I think he came back into the game. Josh Sweat left for a little bit. Nakobe Dean left for a little bit. Darius Slay, obviously, he had his routine, get off for a play. But there was also situations, I believe it was on one of the touchdowns from Zacchaeus, and it was just complete miscommunication by the Eagles, where they had 12 men on the field, and it was miscommunicated, because I think it was Isaiah Rodgers out there, and then Darius Slay had no idea. He had to run on and run off just to make sure nothing happened, and it left Zacchaeus wide open for the touchdown, to where he could just easily run in. So there definitely were a lot of miscommunication plays, some mistakes by the defense, but I'm putting this more on the offense, because if Jalen Hurts is in this game isn't even close. It's not even close. Not even close. Jalen had some huge runs. He had some good passes. If Jalen Hurts is in this game's not even close. It's literal fact. And it's definitely going to be blown up freaking this week about, Washington and all that stuff. Look how good. Jaden Daniels did play good. I'm not denying that. You beat Kenny Pickett. That is the bottom line. Jalen Hurts is in this game. Eagles win. By probably a lot. Because the offense doesn't stall out as much as it does when Jalen's in the game. It wouldn't have happened. I guarantee it wouldn't have happened. Your offense stalled so much, and not solely just on Kenny Pickett. It stalled out for a lot of reasons. But, if Jalen's in the game, probably doesn't happen as much as it did. Just saying. Now, like I said, I'm not blaming this entire game on Kenny Pickett. I think there's a lot of other obstacles that resulted in your loss, especially more on the offensive side of the ball. With your O-line, Saquon not able to get going, your receivers, just a lot of stuff that just felt like was controllables, in my personal opinion. Because, like I said, you don't drop the ball. Devonta, a catch that he makes 99 times out of 100. You win the game. It's the exact same thing in Atlanta, or against Atlanta, week 2. Saquon dropping the ball in the red zone. And Atlanta went down. They won the game. Just can't happen. It cannot happen. Oh, man. It's unreal. It is unreal. And I'm trying to see if there's any update on Jalen Hurts post-game and all that stuff. I'm sure we'll hear something from Nick Sirianni. But this is Saquon Barkley post-game. We didn't do enough. We left a lot of plays out there, including myself. Saquon Barkley says that they were keeping on him after Jalen Hurts left the game. Or Saquon says that Washington was keying on him after Jalen Hurts left the game. I got to catch it. We got to learn from this. Here we go. CJ Gardner-Johnson just tweeting out his opinion here on Twitter. Respectively, got kicked out for nothing. I play with passion and fire. Guys were chirping all day. What you expect? CJ, you just got to read the room, man. Not after that type of loss. You got to read the room. Here's also another stat. The Eagles' 32% success rate rushing the football today is their lowest mark of the season. What else is there that stands out? What else is there? Defense generated 4 turnovers while Kenny Pickett was in the game. The ensuing drives by the offense. Punt, which was 4 plays and 47 yards. A missed field goal, which was 5 plays and 11 yards. A field goal of 14 plays and 36 yards, and a field goal of 4 plays and 5 yards. 6 points off of those 4 turnovers by the defense. You got to capitalize on those. That's why I'm blaming the offense more. You got to make them pay. You didn't make them pay. And that's the reason why this game was closer than it needed to be. With Kenny Pickett at quarterback. You convert on those drives, you score on those drives, you win the game. But then also, yes, Devonta, obviously, yes, you still had a chance to win the game regardless. Devonta Smith catch the damn ball, you win the game. So there are so many, like I said, so many factors in this game. And it's like Sean says right there, it was just a day where everything went against them. It felt like. So I guess you could say it's one of those games, but my God, what else is there? Nick Sirianni is now talking post-game, so I wonder if there's anything that will stand out from this, so I do want to give a listen to it.
To any conversations I have with the referees or players or that, they called what they called, and, that's, again, we all have to be better there. It starts with me.
First impressions of
touchdown. What's your understanding for what was happening defensively there, where he got left open?
Yeah. Again, like I talked to you guys about, like, best way to play good defense is everyone be on the same page. So I'll have to watch the tape. I'll have to see what happened there. We had a substitution that wasn't good enough there. Like I said, I had some penalties and some sloppy play today that cost us, and so I'll have to look at that part of the tape. But we obviously busted the coverage. That's how he's wide open. So not everybody being on the same page, and again with the substitution there. So we'll look at that, and we got to get better from that.
your first impressions of how Kenny played, how he persevered in a difficult circumstance.
Yeah, I think he did some nice things. Again, we'll have to look at the tape and kind of see everything. But he did some nice things. I think on that last drive when we're down, I believe it was 1 point. Really good job by him on 2 fourth-down conversions. Smitty made 2 big plays on that drive, or made a big play on the 4th-down conversion. AJ made the other one where he was able to slip it, but Kenny was under control and, did some nice things today.
On kickoffs, was he playing to kick short?
No, again, the weather right there, you can look at kind of what we've done in the past and where we've been on touchbacks and everything like that. The ball wasn't traveling quite far today, and that's where we kicked him today.
What was the nature of the interaction with Zach Ertz after the game? It looked like he was pretty...
I'm just saying, congrats. Both of us said congrats to each other. And,
When Jalen Hurts left the game, it's obviously much more difficult to run the ball with Saquon. What were they doing differently, or were they just keying on him?
Yeah, hats off to Washington. They had a good plan, did some really good things, made it hard. Some muddy runs. We were able to get some good yardage running the football, but it wasn't quite consistent enough for our standard. But they got good players, they got good coaches, and they give them credit today.
To lose a starting quarterback is chaotic to say the least. Look, how do you manage accountability on a Monday after this, and how much of that do you credit to the team as you're trying to get through a game in a situation like this?
Yeah, we'll go back to work regardless of who played in what situation, and we'll everybody from myself to the coaches to the players will hold ourselves accountable. I think you heard Smitty talk to you guys, and him taking accountability. That's what gives you great hope in this team, is that everyone wants to get better. Everyone wants to take accountability and get better from the things that they do. Accountability doesn't change, though, based off of your result, right? I'd be a hypocrite if I did that. So accountability for myself and for the team will be the same as if we were a win or a loss or 10 wins in a row, 1 loss, 5 losses, or whatever it is. We're going to go back to work and we're going to do the same things we do, and we're going to try to recreate our habits of what gets us in these scenarios in the first place.
The play where Pickett shuffled the ball forward, it looked like he got hit on that play. Did you happen to have a conversation with him about whether he could continue, and do you think he's okay going forward?
Well, he went back in, so tough. Like I said, I haven't talked to the medical staff yet, but he went back in and made some really big plays in that next couple drafts.
Two more, please.
What about adjusting on the fly when Kenny comes in? I mean, because he's obviously a much different quarterback than Jalen as far as being the +1 and everything. How, what's that like as far as having?
Yeah, there's nothing we leave to something to do on the fly. I mean, there's at times you obviously have to adjust different things, but we go into a game with a plan. If that were to happen, we go into a game with a plan. If both guys were to go down and Tanner were to be in, that's just something you go through on your weekly process. So, again, that's not something that's a on the fly thing. That's something that's been discussed all week.
With running an offense,
Last one.
How do you look back at that 3 and out there in the fourth quarter?
The one before our drive when we were down.
After Reed's interception, when 55 seconds.
Oh, that, yeah. Again, we were. I think the first play we lost some yardage, then we completed one to AJ. And then we passed it to Smitty. So I thought we were aggressive. I thought Kellen did a good job of calling it there, being aggressive. At the end of the day, they made one more play than we did on that. I didn't. Looking at that part, I'll have to go back and look at it and just our sequence there. I liked how we, went about it to, I think a lot of times you'll see teams maybe run there. We were going to be aggressive in those scenarios. That's how we've been able to run a lot of the clocks out. We just didn't do it this time.
All right, thanks.
Thank you, everybody.
Well, so of course Nick Sirianni wasn't going to throw Devonta Smith under the bus. I wasn't expecting that from the head coach whatsoever. But yeah, pretty much. Yeah, there was. It's just like I said. I don't think anybody should be worried about the loss. That's nowhere close to what any summary should be taking away from this game, because you had a chance to win it with Kenny Pickett, and it came down to what the Devonta Smith drop. That's basically what it was. I'm not worried about the defense. Basically, that's anything there. Game was over if Jalen was still in. That's obvious. That is completely obvious with the way the offense was rolling when Jalen was in there. So I'm not worried in the slightest on that factor. I hope that, we do get an update on Jalen Hurts eventually, even though it is, confirmed that he does have a concussion. But I guess we'll just have to find out if he is going to be available to play against Dallas. I think they're not going to take that risk, in my personal opinion. So we'll have to see where everything goes. But it's just a frustrating loss. That's what it is. When there were so many things that were going against you, and the fucking broadcast was so fucking terrible. They kept saying, like, oh, and I like Joe Davis a lot. I think he's a very good broadcaster, but they were like, oh my God, how is Washington still in this game? Blah, 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 blah. They're playing Kenny Pickett. The Eagles struggled to score offensively when Kenny Pickett was in the game. That's the bottom line. That is the bottom line. Yeah, the defense should have made some more plays, but they also forced 5 turnovers. You got to score off those turnovers, and they did not. And majority of those turnovers happened when Kenny Pickett was in the game. You just got to score off those. You only got 6 points off of those 4 turnovers when Pickett was in the game. You scored a touchdown. My God. It's just really frustrating, this game. Like I said, it's nothing to be concerned about. It's just crazy. It's just crazy. Here we go. Russ Joy of Crossing Broad put this up on Twitter too, of the second half possessions by the Eagles. Their first possession was a field goal. That drive was 3 minutes and 20 seconds. The second drive was a field goal, lasted 8 minutes and 13 seconds. Third drive was a punt, 2:23. Fourth drive was a field goal, 5 minutes and 18 seconds. And then the fifth drive was a field goal, 55 seconds. That's not sustaining whatsoever. That is nowhere close to sustaining at all. No wonder why your defense looked fucking gassed out there. They made all the plays possible that they could, the defense, forcing 5 turnovers. And I'm not going to, say that lightly. 5 turnovers, you should win the game. 5 turnovers, you should win the game. Your offense didn't sustain anything. That's the issue. And you still had a chance to win this game. Without the offense sustaining anything, you had a chance. And it came down to a Devonta Smith drop. So, it's all about stabbing yourself in the foot. It's basically what it was. Devonta Smith makes that catch, you win the game. It's bottom line. Here's also another stat defensively. It's from Shane Haff. The Eagles blitzed Jaden Daniels on a season-high 37.8% of dropbacks this week. They blitzed 18.6% in weeks 1 through 15. Daniels was 10 for 15 for 173 yards and 3 touchdowns versus the blitz. So, yeah, maybe there's something that they have to change there. That definitely was a little bit strange why he blitzed so much. Kenny Pickett says he'll have more x-rays on his ribs tomorrow, so it was a rib issue that he was dealing with, not a hand issue. What else is there? Nick Sirianni up, sloppy, blah, blah, blah. So that was just another quote there. And nothing really else. I want to see the penalty totals, actually. Eagles had 10 penalties, Washington had 6. Jesus. My God. My God. Unreal. Absolutely unreal. And I think Detroit lost today, if I'm not mistaken. No, Detroit didn't lose. What am I saying? I think they won. Yeah, they won. They won 34-17. So, yeah, that 1 seed is completely out the wayside. And right now, I think Minnesota is winning, if I'm not mistaken. Minnesota, where you at? Yep, right now they are beating Seattle 17-7. So the Eagles, at this point, might be in the 3 seed after tonight. Might be in the 3 seed. Let me look at the conference. Yeah, Eagles definitely have the 3 seed after tonight. Interesting. So, yeah, it definitely stings at the end of the day. Even though the Eagles do have a tiebreaker with Minnesota, that means, I think, at this rate, for the Eagles to get the 2 seed, they need to win these next 2. They got to win. Well. What are you going to do? We do have a voicemail here, though, from Sean. And, yeah, Sean, I do have your Phillies voicemail. I'll use that at a later date. I'm not sure if I'm going to be talking Phillies tonight, just because all the craziness tonight, and I'm going to have to be editing as well tonight. So that's going to be taking up majority of my time. So we'll probably talk Phillies at some point with the trade today for Jesus Luzardo. But let's get to Sean's call about the Eagles game today. See what he has to say.
Crazy game today. You knew with what happened at the end of it that Washington was going to come down and win. There's so many factors in this game. I mean, too many to detail here, but I'll just say this. For all the naysayers of Jalen Hurts, you see what this team is without him. I'll take the head-scratching plays that Hurts makes at times over the ineptitude of Kenny Pickett. You know, the officiating in this game was wretched on both sides, but definitely wretched on the touchdown that won it, because that was clearly motion on Washington's offensive tackle. No call. C.J. Gardner-Johnson, inexcusable, dude. Like, dude, you already got 1 flag for personal foul or whatever, taunting, whatever you want to call it. And then you go and get a second one. It's one thing to play with emotion, but that shit, when you're getting kicked out of the game and McCollum's being exploited, you just can't have it. I mean, and finally, look, as sick as it is, the Eagles season to me has been detailed by the case of 2 drops. Saquon Barkley's drop against Atlanta cost them that game. Devonta Smith's drop today cost them this game. I mean, credit to Jaden Daniels for doing what he did. He was unstoppable at the end, but it should have never came to that. Smith makes the catch that he makes 99 times out of 100, game over. Today he dropped it. It's the second loss the Eagles shouldn't have got. They'll kick Dallas's ass next week, but we can all wash away any thoughts of a number 1 seed.
Oh yeah, I definitely agree on that point. That's like I said, there is no reason for Eagles fans to be concerned whatsoever. I don't think that should be the case at all. If people are finding ways to be concerned about today's game, that's just completely unnecessary because you saw you saw how valuable Jalen Hurts was to this team today. And all the criticism right now should go by the wayside. That's just personally me. Even though I have criticized Jalen a lot this year, you see the difference with Jalen Hurts as quarterback. That is just clear and consent obvious. You see the difference with Jalen Hurts compared to Kenny Pickett, and I feel like everybody should realize that. But yeah, people will find a way to criticize. People will find a way to complain. People will find a way to be worried now about Washington. If the Eagles match up with Washington in the playoffs, the Eagles are kicking their ass. The Eagles are destroying them with Jalen Hurts on their center. That is something that I guarantee. Something that I guarantee. I don't think it should be a question at all. These two teams meet up in a playoff match, Eagles are destroying them, especially at the Link. So I'm not worried about that in the slightest. It just comes down to it's only frustrating because everything that went against you today, you still found a way to lose because you had the game in your control at the end. It's just like it's annoying at that part because even what Sean brought up, you had 2 games this year where you had the control in your hands and you just collapsed in the final 2-minute drill. That just can't happen. Those are 2 losses on your record because of that. The Saquon drop and now the Devonta drop, to where you could probably be 15-1 at this rate. 15-1, is that right? They were 12-2, be 13-1, 14-1, 14-1 probably. I think did I math right? Probably, yeah. Yeah, it'd be 2 wins to be 14-1. So I don't know why it took that long for me to math it, but my brain's everywhere today. It's just crazy. This was just an insane game. And yeah, I'm not worried about the Dallas game next week. I don't think anybody should be worried about that at all. Oh yeah, the refs 100% were a factor into this game, no doubt. The refs were awful. That was one of the worst officiated games that I've seen in my life, completely. And yeah, and the Gas defense, I put that blame more on the offense for not sustaining any drives. The defense is out there so much because the offense just cannot have a drive longer than 5 minutes. Their longest drive, I believe, in that second half was 8 minutes. That was it. Besides that, it was just quick plays, trying to get plays downfield, field goals ending up, and your drive only lasts so long. And then it's also to the fact that your secondary was just your special teams were just garbage, to where McCaffrey is getting so many plays to where they're getting good field position to start their drives, to where they're starting on the 30-yard line, the 35, the 40+. That's going to hurt a defense at the end of the day because, they're not pinning them in their own territory. They're basically in midfield at that point. So, it's annoying. It is annoying. Oh, yeah, I even forgot that missed call on that should have been 100% roughing the passer on Pickett. There was no reason for that flag to be picked up. I saw on the replay, he got kneed in the head. There was no reason for that flag to be picked up. No reason. Eagles get a first down. And was that on the final drive too? Was that on the final drive when after the Blankenship interception? I forgot about that. Was that on the final drive? I gotta look at this now. This is bothering me. Was it one of the field goal drives? Let's see. Can he pick a pass? Can he pick a pass? No, it wasn't on the final drive there. I think it was on the 12-play field goal drive, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see. Pass. Kenny Pickett sack for scramble right here. Yep, Kenny Pickett scrambles for 8 yards. It should have been a first down. It was on the 3rd and 15 play. It should have been a first down. Should have been roughing the passer. That 100% should have been the case. But that's NFL refereeing for you. They were just bad, and we didn't even get like a replay to show what the hell C.J. Gardner-Johnson did to get ejected. Even though I firmly believe that he probably did something stupid. I would have seen him get something stupid. probably running his mouth too much, and he does need to know that at the end of the day. I understand both teams are trash talking each other. You get one unsportsmanlike, they're going to be looking for you the rest of the game. You got to find a way to control your mouth and control your emotions. I understand, CJ, you play with a lot of energy and a lot of emotion. You got to find a way to control that, because this defense could not afford you to get out of that game, because they targeted McCollum all day, and he got exposed because of it. Annoying. It's just annoying. Like I said, so many things that went against you. You still had the game in the palm of your hand, and you dropped it. It's just simple as that. And then a gas defense couldn't stop a 2-minute drill. That's all it was. Annoying. Just one roundup check here on the Twitterverse, just to see if anything else stands out. Nope. Don't see anything there. So, my God. Yeah, I did see the picture of CJ Gardner-Johnson flipping off the fans. I did see that. That was funny, but still, I need him on the field. You can't get ejected, especially at that point in the game. It was the third quarter, right, where he got ejected. Can't let that happen. And that was after one of the turnovers as well. I think that was after one of the other fumbles. That just can't happen. So, whatever. Get to some of you other guys here in the live chat before we end it off. How you doing, Austin, Sean, Michael? Yeah. Like I said, I don't think the defense should be much at fault, as some people are going to talk about this week. I don't think that should be the case. They forced 5 turnovers. They were gassed. All day because the offense could not sustain anything but Pickett out there. I don't blame this on the defense. Like I said, there is blame to be put on the defense for certain situations. Not fully. I don't blame the defense much, as probably people are going to. I blame this more on the offense for, just not being able to sustain any drives and not chunk the clock out. And yeah, also without Jalen Hurts, you can't do anything with the tush push, a key factor into the offense. It's just annoying. Yeah, the offensive line wasn't. There just wasn't much, because Washington's defense game plan, once Jalen Hurts comes out of the game, we're going to send everything to stop Saquon and force Kenny Pickett to throw the ball. And it worked. It worked for the most part, because Saquon was not able to get anything going in the second half. And Kenny Pickett, yeah, he made some passes. He definitely did. A lot of the passes were terrible, though. Some of those passes were very bad, especially the deep one to AJ, the deep one to Saquon. That Saquon still should have caught, by the way, but it was still underthrown mightily. So, there's a lot of blame to be going around on the offense. That's where I put most of my blame at. Also, special teams. Special teams were just bad. Can't be given Jaden Daniels that good of field to start his drives. That's also the reason why the defense got gassed, because they weren't able to have a good fieldage to start. That's all. So, that'll do it for today, everybody. I appreciate you all tuning in as always. So, going to be a busy night with editing this stuff for me on our shorts here, and then for Brodes when he posts this thing. I think he probably is posting his thing by now. Because I know he does his Bleacher Report stuff, and then he's going to be doing his regular video. So he's probably going to be uploading that at some point. So we'll see how everything pans out. But yeah, in terms of videos for this week, obviously this week is Christmas. Merry Christmas in advance, everybody. I'm trying to figure out what would be good, because obviously there's not going to be anything done for Christmas Eve and Christmas. That's granted right there. Tomorrow we can definitely do something in regards to the Phillies news, or even talk more about Eagles if we hear anything about, just the Monday after reaction. So there definitely could be some things tied to that. So you'll see something like that tomorrow. I'll definitely try to get a video out for you guys before the holiday and everything there. So I won't say Merry Christmas just yet before tomorrow, but still, just in case, Merry Christmas if I don't get anything out tomorrow. There's always just a just in case type of thing. After Christmas, obviously we could talk some more stuff if there is more news after. I know the Flyers do play tomorrow in Pittsburgh, but I think there's more things important right now than the Flyers. So we'll see. But just watch out for your subscription feed. There'll definitely be something there. maybe we'll go live tomorrow night just talking about everything there. So definitely just, keep an eye out. Keep an eye out. That's all it is. So thanks, guys, for tuning in tonight. Don't forget to leave a comment in the comment section down below. Don't forget to drop a like. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. It does me a great deal of service. And also use the code TTPSports. $20 off your first purchase at SeatGeek. Great deal. Do not pass it up. Appreciate you boys for tuning in. And if I don't get anything out tomorrow, Merry Christmas in advance. Hopefully everyone has a good holiday. But I'm sure I'll have something up for tomorrow for you guys. So